Silence, all stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the reading of the proclamation. Ladies and gentlemen, the proclamation. All persons having any business before this honourable court now draw nigh. Give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Be seated, please.
Admission of lawyers. Elizabeth Marie Dar.
May it please the court, I move that Elizabeth Marie Dar be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Elizabeth Marie Dar be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Bridget Marie Tracy Dawson.
May it please the court, I move that my daughter Bridget Marie Tracy Dawson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Bridget Marie Tracy Dawson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shweta Day.
May it please the court, I move that Shweta Day be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shweta Day be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yasmin Hamd.
May it please the court, I move that Yasmin Hamd be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Yasmin Hamd be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Joshua Philip Halville.
May it please the court, I move that Joshua Philip Horville be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Joshua Philip Horville be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ainsley Bree Hawke.
May it please the court, I move that Ainsley Bree Hawke be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ainsley Bree Hawke be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Myra Amber Issa.
May it please the court, I move that Myra Amber Issa be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Myra Amber Issa be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alice Kate Kennedy Johnson.
May it please the court, I move that Alice Kate Kennedy Johnson be admitted as a lawyer in this honourable court.
Let Alice Kate Kennedy Johnson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jaspreet Kaur.
May it please the court, I move that Jaspreet Kaur be admitted as be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jaspreet Kaur be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amara Khan.
Registrar.
May it please the court, I move that Amara Khan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Amara Khan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tiffany Martinez.
May it please the court, I move that Tiffany Martinez be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tiffany Martinez be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lisa Nasir.
May it please the court, I move that Lisa Nasir be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lisa Nasir be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sadira Samarawira Pereira.
May it please the court, I move that Sajeevan Samarawira Pereira be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sajeevan Samarawira Pereira be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Talia Dani Shraga.
May it please the court, I move that Talia Dani Schrager be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Talia Dani Schrager be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Janan Wang.
May it please the court, I move that Xiaonan Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shannon Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will be necessary for the purpose of an oath or affirmation that all those being admitted today stand up but remain in their current places. Could all admittees please stand?
Elizabeth Marie Dar. Bridget Marie Tracy Dawson. Shweta Day. Yasmin Hamd. Joshua Philip Halville. Ainsley Bree Hawke, Mira Amber Issa, Alice Kate Kennedy Johnson, Jashpreet Kaur, Amara Khan, Tiffany Martinez, Lisa Nasir, Sajeevan Sabarawira Pereira, Talia Danny Shraga, Janan Wang. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge and ability? Please say, "So help me God," or "I do."
Thank you. Please be seated. Now that the formal part of the proceedings has ended, I would like to warmly welcome you to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today is Justice Bellew to my right and Justice Lonergan to my left. Both of their honours are members of the Common Law Division of the Court. Together, we constitute the Court that has, in exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. As we gather here today, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. We recognise the long-standing and enduring customs and traditions of Australia's First Nations and acknowledge with deep regret the role our legal system has had in perpetrating many injustices against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. To all the new lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession. Today is a day for celebration. You all worked extremely hard to get here through caffeine-fuelled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbook and more cases than you can ever hope to remember. Rest assured, for those of you with a bibliophobia, that is a fear of running out of reading material, as lawyers that fear will never materialise. You have entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered the mysterious reasonable person, and have understood that the Constitution consists of so much more than the vibe of the thing. In becoming a lawyer, you have today joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admissions oath dates back to the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830 the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls of this state. You have now become part of this tradition almost 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, if not for your family and friends, that's how long it feels like you've been studying. On that note, I'm also pleased to welcome those with you here today or watching on the live stream. For many of you, the support of your family and friends has been invaluable. No doubt, they have also, from time to time, been on the receiving end of your finely polished skills of argument and persuasion. I do hope you take the time to thank them today. The oath or affirmation you have made today is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, or an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice. It is an acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the moving of lawyers, swearing of oaths, and even our somewhat strange choice of fashion. On one occasion some years ago, I do recall, that a young member of the audience asked if we were doing Santa photos after the ceremony. Regrettably, I was sorry to disappoint him. However, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. You will be unsurprised to hear that last year we had to adapt quite a bit. COVID-19 meant a rapid shift to increased use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure that access to justice continued in the midst of a pandemic. Things didn't always go smoothly, as those with me on the bench can certainly attest to. There have been real difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication and fairness to participants. And occasionally a lawyer might even get stuck on a Zoom kitten filter. But for all the challenges we faced, the impetus is greater than ever before for us to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in rural and remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions, or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you are at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes to ensure that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes that deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter the duality that we have come very far and that much still needs to be done. Though women were not originally permitted to practice, since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors with a practicing certificate in New South Wales and currently make up 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. Women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia. However, women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of this court and, for example, amongst barristers in speaking roles before the High Court. It is heartening, on the other hand, to see that the local court has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, but we must not be complacent about these issues. There are other noticeable diversity concerns that we must face head-on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and people from diverse cultural backgrounds continue to be alarmingly underrepresented in the legal profession, and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession from people with less privileged backgrounds. Law should not be a profession for the wealthy, and the idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree, which this year has again increased, or because of other systemic issues is troubling. Not just this, but we will only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment free from harassment or discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our justice system are properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. Despite these challenges, there is real scope for change. There is far greater diversity amongst junior lawyers than those who have been around for as long as me. You only need to look first at your fellow admittees here today and then at the paintings on the wall of the court to see that this is so. You are in a unique position as new lawyers who are entering the profession at a time when more than ever your words and actions are having an impact for good. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unsustainable working conditions, sexual harassment or bullying within the profession, unfair laws, or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. I urge you to continue to speak up for these things. They do matter. You are the future of the profession and will steer the direction it will take. As a lawyer, you will also need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regard to our personal characteristics, lawyers have been the butt of jokes for centuries. Some would say, of course, there are only a handful of lawyer jokes. The rest are true stories. But jokes aside, you must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court, the administration of justice, and other ethical duties you must uphold. Now that you are lawyers, you can get paid to argue rather than just arguing for free. Of course, there is a lot more to it than that. You're an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum as a series of abstract concepts, but law as it applies to people's lives. For this reason, you must strive to deliver legal services competently and fearlessly with courtesy and integrity. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, once said, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." This is foundational to upholding the rule of law. For those of you who will practice law, The way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. One thing you will regrettably strike throughout your career is legislation which seems carefully crafted with the object of ensuring that no one can understand it. Your task is not just to understand it, but to explain it clearly to those whose rights or interests are affected by it. As lawyers, we must not keep the law locked up as something knowable only to us. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning, not mystified and confused. So be clear and concise in both your writing and your speaking. Plain English is powerful. Consider, do I really need to say aforementioned or herewith? Must I sprinkle in that Latin phrase? Should I really use double negatives, tautologies, and wordy clauses that take up a whole page? I would suggest the answer to these questions is obviously no. The best advocates make their points simply and succinctly. Now, some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could probably use that reminder, so don't pick up their bad habits. I also want to speak about failure. I would not be surprised if there are quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points in your career you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can and learn from those errors. You must fail in times in order to grow. What is important is that you try not to make the same mistake twice. Now, I myself have made many mistakes over the years, far too many to remember. Even as Chief Justice, my decisions have on occasion been successfully appealed to the High Court. When that occurs, I'm obliged to tell myself through gritted teeth that it's not just a mere rumour that the High Court is infallible. But notwithstanding, even dissenting judgments have sometimes become the law. Finally, I want to emphasise that your mental health is extremely important. This may sound unexpected at this type of ceremony, but the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or to take a step back when you need to. Also remember that the law is a collegiate profession, and in times of difficulty, the support of your peers will prove invaluable. I relied on it throughout my career. Although you might find it hard to believe, I was admitted quite a long time ago. I lost my first case, and I lost many more after that. But throughout my 35 years in practice, I could always count on the other barristers in my chambers to share my disappointment at the unfairness of the verdict, the sly tactics of opposing counsel, and most often, I regret to say, the obtuseness of the judge or judges before whom I was appearing. And by hasten word, I don't include either of my fellow judges on the bench in that comment. Can I, on behalf of all the judges of the Supreme Court, and particularly those sitting with me today, once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The Court will now adjourn.
All stand. This honourable court is now adjourned. God save the Queen.